You're listening to WTIM, your information station, and it's time now for your expanded local news. Discussion surrounding lead testing and the Manners Park pool construction dominated last night's January meeting of the Taylorville Park Board of Trustees. Board members and other Park District staff spent most of the open portion of the meeting discussing color options for the design of the Manners Park pool. Landmark Aquatic had presented them with a large booklet of the plethora of options for the various components of the space. The components included the interior paint, lane lines for the lap pool, water slides, and more. The board did not formally vote on anything in this regard. However, board and staff members did come to a consensus on most such matters while tabling others for later. Once these decisions are completed, the board intends to submit them to Landmark for them to produce renderings of the final design. Before the pool, the board discussed the previous findings of lead at Manners Park. Board President Marlene Miller said that she has contacted Midwest Environmental Consulting Services regarding further lead testing. Miller had sent previous reports from another firm to them as part of this consultation. She said MEC had replied, saying these reports fell well short of what they needed to be able to provide to the EPA.
Basically, what she said to me is, well, we all know who did the testing out of here before, so I just won't say it out loud. She said, what a pathetic excuse of a report. So basically right now, what this is there's a lot of things that weren't done, weren't submitted to the state, which is what Aaron Gregory sent me in an email 5 months ago. And so we have to, she said, you're not going to get anywhere and we're not going to know what we have to do till everything's done properly and submitted properly. So this is a proposal for them to do the data gap analysis and provide a local path forward for the EPA. So she said that way then she'll know what we need to do moving forward. And I said, hey, I'm just happy that somebody's, and it's for $2,000.
The board voted to proceed. The board also discussed auditing firms. The Park District will again require an outside agency to do an audit of their operations per state law. Sikich CPA LLC performed the audit last year. Office Administrator Linda Moomey said that the board had hoped to find a more local firm to run the audit, but to no avail.
Sikich CPA has a statement of work that Marlene needs to sign if we choose to use their service again. The total amount will be $21,000 for the year.
But letting them know that you have attempted to get other people.
$21,500. I also have a list of people that I've tried. We're not having much luck finding any local people that will do this. The only thing that I could say about this year, you're not going to have the extra expenses that you had last year.
Right. It'll just be
It'll be the 21.5 plus any help from Jenny.
The board voted to move forward with this motion as well. Maintenance Superintendent Ben Dempsey then gave an update on projects his team will work on at the Don Bragg Sports Complex. They include work on pathways, a dugout floor, and the concession stand.
We got to get to that walking path out of Don Bragg, getting that all patched up and stuff. Filling in all the cracks and all that stuff. There's a dugout out there. The floor needs to be redone on it.
What was that?
A dugout at Don Bragg's.
Don Bragg needs,
Yeah, the concrete's busted. It's got a half wall, cinder block wall on it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about just eliminating that because it's just going to cost more money and I can't lay blocks, so I'm no good at it. So I'm just going to put some posts up there, change it up a little bit, put chain link fence around the back, put a bench in.
What was the purpose of the cinder blocks?
It just kind of helps support the roof. They got just steel pipes running through the blocks up to the roof because
You don't really need it?
not if we put some nice beefy 4x4s or 6x6s underneath of there.
Recreation Director Jessica Franks then spoke regarding turnout and donations for Christmas in the park, and, in particular, traffic for the lights show at Manners Park. The numbers are down slightly from last year, but still around what they received in the 3 years prior.
We had a little over 6,000 cars come through, which actually was a little bit less than the year before, but we did lose kind of a lot of time with the weather. The weather really did a number on us. I mean, we had to even reschedule an event because of it. But I did want to just note, because I'm sure it'll come back up, that where we stayed open after Christmas, the 26th through the 28th, we had 348 cars come through on those 3 days. So it wasn't terrible. I mean, it was a lot better than I thought it would
But
be.
what did you collect?
$1,329. So $1,300 in those 3 days. So I know next year it's gonna fall the same exact thing, but it's just gonna be 2 extra days. So just keep that in your mind, because I'll probably come back and ask you if it's okay for us to stay open through the weekend next year too.
The next park board meeting is tentatively set for February 23rd. The work that keeps Taylorville Memorial Hospital safe and functional isn't always happening in plain sight, but it hasn't gone unnoticed. Jake Simonton is a mechanic and locksmith in plant operations at Taylorville Memorial Hospital, and he has been named the hospital's 2025 Colleague of the Year, recognizing his commitment to safety, problem solving, and teamwork across the facility. Simonton joined Taylorville Memorial Hospital in 2022 and was previously honored as Colleague of the Month in June of 2025. Those that know him say he is known for putting safety first in every task, from routine maintenance to complex equipment installations. Simonton's attention to detail and clear communication have made him a dependable presence within plant operations. His ability to address challenges efficiently while maintaining high safety standards has helped throughout the hospital. Coworkers also praise Simonton's responsiveness and willingness to step in when issues arise. Nominators noted that he regularly seeks clarification on larger projects, offers thoughtful solutions, and contributes ideas that improve outcomes. His approachable attitude and positive interactions with staff and patients were also cited as key reasons for his selection. Colleague of the Year awards are presented at each of Memorial Health's 7 affiliates and are selected from employees who were named the Colleague of the Month during that same year. For more information, visit memorial.health. Support for youth sports in Christian County got a big boost this week, thanks to a local business with a big heart. The Christian County Youth Volleyball Program received a donation for new supplies from Steve and Sherry Craigs with Fur Love, and organizers say it couldn't have come at a better time. Julie Soliday with the Christian County Youth Volleyball Program accepted the check and says the program is about much more than just learning how to serve and spike.
The biggest reason is I try to keep it affordable to as many kids as possible, and we do a lot of fee waivers for kids that cannot afford it. And we're at so many different locations, so there's so many overhead sites and so many other different expenses that people do not think of, such as ball carts, balls, and different types of supplies.
Soliday says donations like this help make sure every kid has a chance to play regardless of their family's financial situation.
I see how happy it makes the kids. My daughter loved it, and I just developed it with her. I saw the characteristics that it brings out in children, the leadership skills, the integrity. It was just a way that these girls could have a group that they could all bond in.
And she says community support is what keeps programs like this alive and then growing.
Steve, for example, he actually reached out to me, one of the few people that reached out to me wondering what he could do to help. He's been a supporter yearly. As I was telling someone as I was coming in, he usually is one of my first supporters. Him and Mayor Berry are usually the first two that are the supporters of any youth sport, really, if you think about it. Having those reliable supporters to help youth programs grow is essential in any youth program.
Steve and Sherry Craigs with Fur Love say they're happy to give back and support opportunities for local kids to stay active and involved. The donation will be used to purchase new equipment and supplies. Soliday says anyone interested in supporting the Christian County Youth Volleyball Program can watch for upcoming fundraisers or reach out to the organization directly. This will conclude the first portion of your expanded local news, and it's brought to you by First National Bank in Taylorville.
I'm James Kirk, Vice President at First National Bank in Taylorville. I get it. Switching banks sounds like a chore, but we make it easy. I've helped people and businesses move their accounts with less hassle than they've expected and more personal service than they've ever gotten before. We've been here for nearly 70 years, a true community bank that's not going anywhere. If you're ready to make a change, we're ready to help. First National Bank in Taylorville, first every time for nearly 70 years. Member FDIC.
State Representative Brad Halbrook is honoring the life of a young Shelby County woman whose death he says should have never happened. Halbrook spoke on the Illinois House floor as of last week, marking the anniversary of the death of 20-year-old Katie Abraham, who was killed by a drunk driver. In his remarks, Halbrook said Katie should still be alive today and called her death a preventable tragedy.
This week marks the anniversary of Katie's death. She was only 20 years old. She was a daughter, a friend, a bright light in her family's life, and someone whose future was full of promise. Her life was cut short in a violent, preventable tragedy when the car she was riding in stopped at a red light, was struck from behind at nearly 80 miles an hour by a drunk driver who was in this country illegally and using an alias. First responders had to pry the vehicle open like a tuna can to reach Katie. Her family's world was shattered in an instant. There were no viral videos, no candlelight vigils, no politicians running to microphones to express outrage, but a life was lost and a life that mattered. Katie's father, Joe Abraham, has shown extraordinary courage in speaking out, not for attention, not for politics, but because he does not want any other family to experience the pain that his family lives every day.
Halbrook highlighted Katie's life and praised her father, Joe Abraham, for his advocacy in the wake of her death. He said the tragedy underscores what he calls the human cost of failures in public safety and immigration enforcement. The Shelbyville Republican told lawmakers Katie's death was not simply an accident, but the result of what he described as broken systems and misplaced priorities.
Today is not about anger, it's about remembrance. It's about honoring a young woman whose life was stolen. It is about standing with a family who carries a grief that never leaves. But remembrance also demands responsibility. Policies must be judged by outcomes, not intentions. When systems repeatedly produce preventable death, injury, or disorder, they are broken, and broken systems demand reform. We can enforce law and be humane. We can be compassionate and responsible. We can protect communities while honoring the dignity of every life. Those goals are not in conflict, they're inseparable. To Katie's family, your daughter mattered, her life mattered, her story will not be forgotten.
Halbrook urged fellow lawmakers to pursue what he called compassionate but accountable policies that protect families and prevent similar tragedies in the future. Video of Halbrook's speech is available online. The Taylorville Kiwanis Club heard from Dr. Chad Anderson and Peyton Langen with the Christian County Health Department at their Tuesday noon meeting at the Moose Lodge. At this time, the health department is conducting an I-Plan survey of Christian County residents. The information collected with the survey will assist the health department to plan for the future. The survey is available by stopping at the health department office or completing the survey online. The health department assists junior and senior high school students through the Teen Mental Health Program. Currently, more than 40 individuals are utilizing this program, which promotes mental health education, helps foster emotional well-being, and helps develop healthy coping skills and encourages personal growth. Another program that is promoted by the Christian County Health Department is Credible Mind. This is a free online platform that brings together expert-rated and vetted videos, podcasts, apps, online programs, books, and articles in one easy-to-use location. Credible Mind is confidential and available 24 hours, 7 days a week. The Taylorville Kiwanis Club was thanked for a grant that was recently presented to the Christian County Health Department. For more information on these programs and what else the Christian County Health Department has to offer, visit their webpage at cchdil.org. The Taylorville Kiwanis Club is part of a global organization of volunteers dedicated to improving the world one child and one community at a time. Weekly meetings are held Tuesdays at noon at the Taylorville Moose Lodge. For more information on the club, go to taylorvillekiwanis.com. An Illinois congresswoman is making her stance clear on the United States takeover of Greenland, followed then by Eric Sorensen, who serves on the Armed Services Committee that oversees funding for the Department of War. Sorensen goes on to say the idea of a U.S. takeover would send the U.S. down a dangerous road. While in Davos, Switzerland, at the World Economic Forum, President Trump announced a framework for a future deal with Greenland. However, the Trump administration failed to provide details on what the framework entailed. The Trump administration and its officials say the U.S. needs Greenland for international security. There were some impressive totals from last weekend's winter storm as it moved through Illinois. Illinois state climatologist Trent Ford says as temperatures stay below freezing, snowpack should hang around for a while, especially north of Illinois Route 13. Moving now to obituaries, which can be found at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com. 84-year-old Ruth Ann Hopper of Taylorville died on January 27th. Visitation is January 30th from 4 p.m. until 6 p.m. at Sutton Memorial Home in Taylorville. Funeral service will be January 30th at 6 p.m. at Sutton Memorial Home in Taylorville. Funeral arrangements are being handled by Sutton Memorial Home in Taylorville. 83-year-old Cecilia M. Heimsness died on January 16th. Visitation is January 30th from 3:30 p.m. until 5 p.m. at McClure Funeral Home in Taylorville. Funeral service will be January 30th at 5 p.m. at McClure Funeral Home in Taylorville. Funeral arrangements are being handled by McClure Funeral Home and Cremation Services in Taylorville. 89-year-old Galen Lee Franklin of Taylorville died January 26th. Cremation rights have been accorded, and arrangements will be made at a later date. Funeral arrangements are being handled by McClure Funeral Home and Cremation Services in Taylorville. 92-year-old Lois Ann Schwarm of Ullman died on January 23rd. Visitation is January 31st from 10 a.m. until 11 a.m. at St. Louis Catholic Church in Nokomis. A Catholic Mass will be on January 31st at 11 a.m. at St. Louis Catholic Church in Nokomis. Burial will be at Ullman Cemetery. 72-year-old Lloyd Walter, or L.W. Linton of Edinburgh, died on January 22nd. Visitation is January 31st from 10 a.m. until 12 p.m. at Bethel Baptist Church in Taylorville. A memorial service will be on January 31st at 12 p.m. at Bethel Baptist Church. Burial will then be at a later date. Funeral arrangements are being handled by McClure Funeral Home and Cremation Services in Taylorville. And 88-year-old Sona Beavers of Taylorville died January 16th. A memorial mass will be on March 6th at 10 a.m. at St. Mary's Catholic Church in Taylorville. Interment will be at Green Hill Cemetery. Funeral arrangements are being handled by McClure Funeral Home and Cremation Services in Taylorville. Get details on these and other local news stories at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com or hear them every hour on WTIM. WTIM is your only local news radio.